If you listen to him, that's great. Don't get me wrong, Your Majesty. Your Majesty is not proud of my request now. It's because I'm too worried about Your Majesty. Just decide for yourself. I feel like he needs your help. Prince Eddie laughed coldly. The pressure around him dropped. He said he didn't misunderstand. I also know she needs my help. I'm very honored, but you want my help. Let's call her in person. Please understand. Full of anger in my heart. But I still have to try to get down. Thank you, Your Majesty, for reminding me to inform you. The prince returned to his normal face. You're welcome. There's nothing else to do. When the darkness leaves, Anansen asked His Majesty that day anxiously. It's no problem. Eddie left confidently and said there might be a problem. It's time to pray for us. She knows how to relax. After receiving the news of the Black Deacon, it would be like a dog losing its owner. That's right, regulating the military these days, even though they are about to go to war. Then Anna's son said with a sigh, Your Majesty is still very interested in Your Majesty. Eddie gets hit by a black heart and fights back. The next generation is our territory. We shouldn't care about Sao. In Kim's city, the Red Deacon stood down and looked up at His Majesty, without stopping to think. Half a month ago, Your Majesty, every day all got the bad news of the war. There's the scary thing. The body of that thing is called an explosive bullet. Your Majesty's mood is getting hotter. Mental state is also much worse than before. I'm worried he's easy to do stupid things. Dare not to console. You can only look downstairs. Unless something happens to Your Majesty. Right now, the pigeon delivers the letter back to the hip in panic. God, there's news again, and it's definitely bad news. Your Majesty to take the pigeon. She gently removed the letter at his feet. Don't move. In her hand, she asked the bird. Tell me. You brought it to me. Good news or bad news, if it's bad news. At this point, Your Majesty is reading the news. Suddenly, she laughed out loud, breaking up the silent night space. Pigeons also fly. I don't know what's going on down there. I was even more terrified to see you laughing like that. The news is so bad that you can't help it. How to do it now? Your Majesty doesn't want to do something stupid. For being so worried, he ran up to the room and knocked on the door. Your Majesty, don't do anything stupid. Your Majesty, open the door. The door suddenly opened. Your Majesty's face scowled. Are you crazy? I can't sleep in the middle of the night. Pink doesn't think much. He rushed to pull one side of his shirt and asked the king. You don't know. You don't want to cut your hand. If you see her rude behavior, you hurry to keep your shirt. She twirled and clasped her pink collar to accept the scold. Cut your hand, explain to me a little. Or go to the punishment yourself. I can't believe you're shouting at me. You have the power to be aggressive with yourself. Then there's no problem. After a while, the deacon told the truth. That's how you end the story. Your Majesty lies on his side in bed. When you hear it, you ask. You think I got bad news? He was going to kill himself, so he rushed here. I am so weak in your heart. Pink accepts the bow expressed. I am not worried about Your Majesty. Even if you punish me, I'll do the same next time. He sat up and told her he was. Don't rely on me, you can be blasphemous. Who said today is bad news? Red doesn't know what to say. Maybe you're not the one who can't even control it. Your Majesty said with a mysterious smile. It's not bad news. Is that we found a way to deal with Tim Modi and her secret weapon. The other side now. At Tim Modi's colonial house. You sit around the table with everyone. Your face is serious, summon you. It's because we've received a very important piece of intelligence. This news has to do with our future. From the moment of departure until now, we've won 8 major battles in a row. Full-sized recovery. There are 9 more small cities in it, though there are many difficulties. But overall, still considered favorable as times. This continuity is completely over. On a newspaper that says, a lot of enemy troops. Add to the rear breakout elite encirclement. Failed to Motu Olan, defeated 7 riders 1,534 people. When everyone heard it, they were astonished. 7 defeats, but not 7 defeats before. Tulan is not a small city. Sometimes it is difficult to get normal. Queen Tim Mo stood up and slammed the table. Occupation is not normal. Like this defeat, is that they're using human sea tactics. Obviously, they've discovered our weakness. Duke Geeler asked His Majesty. We must immediately adjust to the new strategy. DAC the fisherman nodded in agreement. We also discussed this issue before. It can be adjusted very quickly. The Queen of Timor is right. We soon had a solution to this. In fact, what we're worried about is people's hearts. She remembered and recounted the last time, after the big sweep, to the remnants of the Black Euro and the main religion. It basically destroys the forces. But the propaganda work reinforced that. Because the front lines are in trouble. Has not been implemented. People in the back are not stable. Now it's only in the front. Changed the flags several times in a short time, father and son. And we on the street have started to spread a saying. The Iron King's heart is the current. Under the situation, 7 failures as success increases. People's sense of mistrust. For us. So this 7th defeat, for us, has a greater impact than imagined. Bus Strip Subin recommended. Or lose some money organizing literacy classes. Let people see the true face of God. The Geeler recipe immediately points out the problem. Now everywhere is fighting. There are not enough resources to open a class. The frog sighed. People have not finished eating yet. I have no desire to go to class. As the great laughter expressed, I'm not very good at this either. Queen Tim Moy fell into meditation. A battle that affects many aspects. It's a lot more complicated than I thought. But I can't give up. What would he do if he were to exonerate you? With his personality, I will definitely think more carefully. Tim Modi finally spoke up. Stop making noise and listen to my opinion. It's still a fight. Rice still has to be eaten. People also have to win. First, we have to make sure the problem is warm. It's autumn. It's coming to winter. I believe that. People don't want to starve to death. So our first goal now is organization depending on the labor force on the existing land, sequence of production and development, securing supplies and food through the winter. Let the people have food and clothing and a place to stay. It's also a way to improve our reputation. The front line at the same time, our policy of progress. You can also slow down the speed. There is no need to succeed continuously, just like when I first started. The last point of the class erased the smell of text, but it could not be opened. But we can use other methods. Conduct lead. For example, to celebrate patriotism, so that people can find empathy for national culture. Raise us up. So here's the sort of direction that we can now think of. If people have anything to add, or feel not right, can recommend the Duke. Healer finished listening and shed tears. I have nothing to say. Your Majesty is finally grown up. Queen of Timor shouts in shame. Please don't be like that. Night in Trongan City. Lu Feng's car on the way back to the capital. Ellie then Vienne. Think we can negotiate very quickly. I can't believe it's this late. Smiling reminded me to be careful. Mina suddenly asked me to listen to FC. In addition to arranging the kidnapping mission for her. Is there any other plan? Seriously replied yes. Outside the Air Force, I let Niu 3 take some more people. Instead of the Ox, bring back the majority of people. They can probably get there before winter. At that time, we need to register the list of returning riders. Safe wounded, killed in battle. Give them compensation and consolation money. Ellie yawned with tears and advised the young master. Don't think too much. Death on the battlefield is inevitable. We've tried our best to lower it. She looked up at the building in front of her. Look at this late total. The police are still on. Department of Public Security too. There are people on duty at 4 hours. Of course, the light's on. Don't stick your head out. It is very dangerous, Ellie replied. I don't know if it's online. Save wind guesses can. The car drove through the alley that no one's paying attention to. In the corner, there are 2 veiled animals. He was almost found threatening to die. The furry-haired beast wondered. Not really, CA. Why do we have to hide? The angry Kier beast grabbed the collar of the juniors, scolding. We dress like this. Why do you have to hide? That kind of car is made by the government. There is definitely a big character sitting there. If we are discovered, we are sure. Listen to him. The new juniors realize that the problem is that the CA is right. Let's go in quickly. The 2 quickly walked to the front door. The CEO asked if it was ready. We need to storm the enemy. With the fastest speed to complete the task, the boy looked carefully and concluded. It's ready. I stood in the corner watching the 2 men. Sneakily, you think. 2 people covered in face. Dressed as a robber outside the department next to a stealthy guard. More than an hour. What do you finally want to do? Detectives like guests or come to die? Then you suddenly came. He grabbed the shirts of 2 masked men. He threw them to the ground. You're in my territory, sneaking around. What do you want to do? The 2 men who were beaten screamed in pain. T.I. Souls holding a wooden baseball bat. To the ground next to the threatening CA. Answer clearly or not. Kill 2 people in their eyes. The image of the Emperor as she screamed up. Both of them trembled like plowshares in a hurry. Let us go, I mean nothing else. We just want to join the police department. A moment later, after knowing the truth, let the 2 of them inside. She put a cup of tea in front of her, smiling as if not laughing. What you 2 mean is, you are the knights of the Torala. They want to join us, but they're afraid to reveal their identities. You think I'll believe you? Both of you trembling. One of the 2 North G's in a row explain. This is our identity card. We can prove our identity. The card is given to the person who is right. Listen to us explain. This afternoon, His Royal Highness and His Royal Highnesses suddenly gathered. We again said we didn't need to fix the road anymore. I can go home soon. Reverse time a few hours ago. The prince in front of the crowd laughed. I will give you good news 3 days later. We can start back to Tojola. The crowd was excited to hear that. I can finally go home. I miss my parents so much. I also earned a lot this time. I can buy some gifts for my family. The two masked men in the crowd were nervous. Look at each other asking, "You can go home so fast." I feel very comfortable living here. I feel the same way. There is not a lot of work. Back to the reality of the hair. And then we met her, and she led the team through. I thought that if I joined the police department, there's no need to go back. That's why I came here. Seriously, hold the tea on the chalk. Looks like you know too. Doing this is dangerous. The masquerade is SAO. The great CA awkwardly explained well. We're mostly afraid of bringing trouble to both sides. But that, if you personally tell the prince to ask him, he will definitely agree. My face told me to remember correctly. We're all registered here as knights. The police department asked you. Don't you think? Two princes if you want to put a treason hat on your head. Are you dead? What is the relationship between the two countries? As you say, the two of you are aware of the problem. Sorry to admit that we were not thinking in secret. We will no longer go the wrong way. Be safe about water. Solved. Go back and report everything to the police. Then I sent them home. Then come here and tell the master. I guess the Tazilla writer has this kind of mentality. If they're all here, it will definitely affect the relationship between our two countries. When I heard about it, I was surprised to ask, there's this again. It's not impossible to really accept them. When I heard that, my eyes widened. But if the two princes knew? He laughed in a mysterious way. It's true that the Han dynasty's treatment is better than theirs. More, even if they know. What can you do to us? Look at your face right now. I can't help but be a little afraid to think of the young master now. It's like a villain that's black. The next morning, Ellie couldn't help but laugh at this. The young man is right. Today and Nemo, that's how the two princes like our wine. The native horseman wanted to stay. Maybe I can't even pray. He exchanged wine with us. Save the wind, only te bao. Oh, we've got to soak a lot of wine. Ellie asked the young master in a panic. No, I'm just kidding. I was also surprised to ask the young man. How do you do it? Liu Feng laughed loudly. You've got to explain it to people. Just for fun. But those fighters have basic training. If it's possible to resolve identity and nationality issues at the same time through the safety department, it is also considered a talent that can be used. What about the opinions of other countries? It's because they can't keep people. We don't need to be afraid. We're forever open and tolerant. When I hear that, I understand the problem. Mina spoke up and said, out of my problems. These people are soldiers. If you open the precedent to receive them. Compared to the police department that maintains inner city policing, they want to be in the military even more. Let them go to SAO, Ellie said. I feel I can. 2 times ago, a lot of people went to the rescue center. We can add more people at the right time. Finished listening, I suddenly banged my hand on the table. Not if they eat our rice. Again smashing our pot. On the battlefield, how about the enemy? It's too dangerous. The atmosphere seems tense. The wind then spoke softened. If you could recruit in. It must have been evaluated. Make sure the enemy has no problems. I firmly stand up for my opinion. Young master, I still find it too risky. Such is the reputation of the High. A wave the hands of thousands of people responded. I have to tease these people. Then you put your hands up. Your chest mimics your gestures. The country needs you. Please join the army. If you see that, you can laugh. The life of the Han dynasty is getting better and better. People live in active unemployment. Military participation will be reduced. One draft. Still don't know what the situation is. Mina and Ellie looked at the Emperor's gesture like that. Then laugh and praise. Education is also very similar to the young master. I didn't find out before. God has this gift. I'm a little embarrassed. Reclaimed his original form. You can say it with a sigh of relief when evaluating. I called the police. Let's take the investigator a little more seriously. I'm sorry to bother you until then. Don't worry, Master. Just give it to me. After that, she and Mina talked to Mina. Would you try it? Not in the opposite. Ellie together to discuss the main. Ellie suggested the young master. I've recorded some key points that you just said. The view. He looked at it and said, not bad. But before recruiting. Or we can do other things. Ellie wonder other work SAO. Stand up and stretch your shoulders. First, organize systems like the movement. Except to pull in the economy. Raising the spirit of Ra. More and more, it's about strengthening people's sense of belonging. For the Han dynasty. Later, are attracted to migrate to Han bullets more and more. We need to pay attention to work in this area. We can all unite the power. Strengthen and widely develop patriotism. United front line. Hear that? Ellie and the Emperor muttered his words. We can all unite the power. Develop a love of water. United front line. Mina happily exclaimed that she was not ashamed of being a young master. Every word is very big and very philosophical. It can touch the soul. He just ate and expressed his peace of mind. Great Han China is so good. Foreigners who come to ensure immediate submission. They dare to do strange things. I will give them life without death. To laugh cold. They look at the cake like bad people. Mina turned her face to remind the Emperor. The police department's job is to protect the public. It's not a black society. I was pressed by Mina. My upper hand flushed and my face screamed. Mina laughed and asked, "Are you still talking nonsense?" The Emperor immediately replied, "I don't dare anymore." Ellie looked at this and said a green sentence. It's so creepy. Say Feng Shui bleeding nose compliment, so sexy. Mina suddenly turned to him and asked the young master. Related to this aspect, do you have any good measures? He hurriedly picked up a towel to wipe his nose. This is our technique for GL. Mina was surprised. Who didn't have to talk about sensory enhancement. Attributed to SAO con 2 hours to save. You said this. Mina asks what GL is. Muskrat licking explained. Towing is a form of transportation in our hometown. Then you contact me for another matter. Mid-Autumn Festival. People do activities like watching the moon. Moon eat moon cake, play Hoa post, and so on. To send the nostalgia of relatives. Good luck and good luck. We can also rely on that mode of living. To renovate a little bit. It is a traditional holiday. To encourage people to accept Han culture. Dynasty. Ellie said that this measure is very good after listening. People just need. There's a sense of acceptance for the culture. You will be invisible to yourself, as an integral part of the collective. That the more elements the culture is rich in, the stronger the sense of acceptance, around under the air. This situation, being disloyal, is hard. Mina said before. I think there's a catch. After the harvest, celebrate the holiday. It's not the bright moon. But very similar to the young master's idea. I also remember that other countries have too. This is also considered the tradition of the 6th generation because the harvest time is different. So the time of celebration is not the same. Liu Feng laughed. Time consistency is not a problem. Time to celebrate Tet holiday does not affect farming. It doesn't go against local customs. I need you to send someone to visit. Understand the traditions of places. Convenient for us. Official regulation of public holidays. But you must remember, the holiday rule is to respect each other. Tolerate each other. Even officially set up a happy day. It doesn't mean a holiday that can't be celebrated. We don't have to force the demand. 3 of you are happy to agree. Ellie made a cute face and approached Liu Feng's table. Young man, what are you looking for? Or thinking about something? I said I was looking for a pen. Other holidays are not easy to decide. But National Day is fixed. Mina's hand reached for the pen. Here, save the wind and think and decide. National Day off for 7 days. You said you used a red pencil. Ellie's eyes glowed with exclamation for 7 days. This is good news if you go out. It will definitely be a shock for a while. I am filled with hope to ask. You can rest as much as you can. But the young master just said to eat moon cakes. We're eating again. It's a shame Gil came home so early. Nicola made mooncakes. She must love it. Mina saw that she looked sad and comforted. Soon after the fall, winter will come. It is dangerous to sail in the winter. I was also excited to hear that. That's right. What can she eat next year? Ellie has a question about whether Gil came to Lausanne. Answer based on the speed of the boat. They must have come to the capital of Lausanne by now. On the other side of the public, Lord Gil, you're driving back to the palace. Like the road doesn't seem so smooth. You get drunk, and your face feels. Father, how can we rebuild the city like this? Lester, sitting in another car, couldn't take it anymore. Poking out the CA. Come on, I'm dying. I want to go down for a walk, Gil. Uncle Lester came from the port. We've been sitting for 2 hours. Wait a minute, we're going to the palace. Just finished talking. The car you're sitting in met a bad road. Caused the shocked car to bounce off a section. Gil startled to ISO. Lester are anxious to ask your majesty why. Don't get hurt. Otherwise, I have no way of handing it over to your majesty and the queen. Where's Gil waving his hand? Why Uncle Lester? I also pay attention to safety. Lester's car also bounced. He threw Lester in the car. In the air. Uncle Lester looked like he had no regrets. I shrugged and said, 2 hours is up. And then there's the Lester scene on the ground. It hurts to cry. The people around him shouted nervously, Lester. Not your lord. Sir, you didn't SAO. Gil also rushed to. Call Uncle Lester. The guard next to Princess Gil proposed to the lord. We taught you. Lester gave a stop sign. Don't touch me. Go find the fake. Gil asked anxiously. Uncle Lester, why don't you let me go to the rescue? Lester explained. Before participating in the activity, volunteers of the Han dynasty and their medical staff said, if you fall and touch her before the fake comes, absolutely not mobile. I guess you've got a crooked neck. Your Majesty and Queen have been waiting for us for a long time. How can you do that? It's also here now. Lord Lester was also carried on a stretcher. He told me you were just a small boy. No big problem. Don't worry. Lester immediately urged Princess Gil. Do you hear me? Don't come with me to the bar. Go back to the Queen Mother. Gil just listened to Uncle Lester being taken away. Just went a bit. He cried out in pain. Be careful, Gil. Look at Theo and think. Think you can have fun with water. Why did it turn out like this? At La Sun Royal Palace. The princess's voice cracked. Your mother and father are back. Listen to music to embrace two people. The queen said she would return in peace. King Lao Ren hugged his daughter. I won't even go back. Your mother is about to kick me out for questioning. The queen glanced at him reproachfully. Is there a way to give your daughter? To cross the ocean to a foreign country. To go to a foreign country alone to negotiate cooperation. I said, should I kick you out of the palace? Wiping Ren Kuk Fuang heard that he only laughed sideways. Retirement comforts you. Don't be angry with your father anymore. This time I don't have to suffer. And harvested a lot. Growing up is not small. Let's see if I'm taller than before. It's also much more spiritual. Kwok Fuang wiped Ren, nodding praise. It is true that I have become more spiritual. Not bad. The queen is dead, do you really think? She's afraid we're worried. They are comforting us. Ox wiping off your hands will not comfort you. The Han dynasty doesn't need to know there's a city layout plan. Or the police situation is much better than ours. They take great care of you. I'm very comfortable there. I don't believe you can ask, Lester reminded me. The king asked Ren. That's right, Lester doesn't have to go with you to Sao. Gil was embarrassed to tell. The king's road is bad. The car is in shock. Lester was not careful to fall. The carriage has been taken to the bar. But you too, rest assured. He said the same thing if he said it. The queen had the opportunity to criticize her husband. How many times have I and my friends advised you? I told you not to fix the roads. You decide for yourself. People have been complaining for months. They have now made Lester fall. The king explained. That's me not wanting to improve the situation. Life for everyone, Sao. Who knows after remodeling into Ra like that? You look at the two of them and think. Who can guess? The queen mother in front of outsiders. One person is very serious, a noble and beautiful person. But the back is like the other houses. Sometimes a fight. The queen is angry at her husband. She went to where her daughter said, we don't need to pay attention to you. You must be tired all the way. You should sit down first. The mother is now preparing water and food. The king wiped Ren on one side and couldn't help but sigh. If you don't pay attention, don't pay attention. The queen's voice cracked. Not a little attention. You are so tired. I don't know who brought the food in. The national defense is difficult. She asked me if I was interested in girls first. Not Sao. At this time, the queen left to prepare rice for her daughter. Love asked the father. The postgraduate sample refers to another study. What is it? Her father sighed and explained. I ordered the simulator to repair the road according to the Han dynasty. Food and cloth studies of the Han dynasty. Who knows those workers? It doesn't work at all. Don't fix it. Nothing that needs to be studied is successful. So now, your mother has a very strong opinion of me. Have fun when you hear it. This time, in addition to promoting cooperation between the two countries, he also brought a group of workers back from the Han king. They each have a talent. It can help people. When the king heard that, he could see that Tia hoped. Why didn't you tell me about them earlier? Gil innocently replied that it was arranged by Uncle Lester. I don't know. Kwok Fuang Ren immediately flew away like a warning wind. Let's go see. Is Lester seriously injured, Gil? Tell your mother for an hour. Gil thought with his eyes wide open. Basic person, it's not about Uncle Lester's injury. I want to get to know the people on Tuesday. Then the queen's voice commanded Ra to ask Gil. I want to shower and change first. Or eat with us before Gil answers in a loud voice. Eat rice first. That's right, Father went to visit Uncle Lester. He's becoming more and more like the Tojola head. Think about it. We don't care about him anymore. King Laozen is at Lauder. He seriously asked Lister heard you fell. Why not? Lester in bed. When I saw her, I sat up to welcome her. Your Majesty came to see me in person. It's just a minor injury. Lao ran. When the king saw that, he told him not to sit up. You're a sick person. All because our roads are so poorly repaired. I hurt you, Lester. No, I don't blame me for not paying attention. In his heart, he is afraid to think. Why does your Majesty suddenly care about me? It's not because I hurt you before. It took a large ransom, your Majesty. I want to punish myself. King Lao Ren spoke up, interrupts his thoughts. Tell me you said you invited the workers back. You are in charge of arranging. Where are they now? Some of them know how to fix the road. Lester is breathing. Turns out your Majesty wanted to ask me about this. He pulled his legs ready to go to bed to express. They were temporarily arranged by me at the inn. If you want to meet them, I will guide you immediately. The king wiped the jean and said no need. You are injured. There's a list that doesn't show us the list first. Lester said yes. I ask you to come up now. Your Majesty, except for the list, I'll call someone to get some more food. Or we can eat and watch. After a while, the requested food is offered. The king wiped his car and gladly exclaimed, there's also the canned beef that we like best with letterhead. You understand very well. Lester laughed. This is not to make you happy. If you like it, we have a team of 16 workers. The princess and I specifically chose what kind of workmen, stitching together, but there's a connection. Your Majesty, how do you feel? Kwok Fuang just poured wine and commented. Your thoughts on choosing someone who's not bad? Is someone who's connected. But it's not the same kind of technical capability. Maybe together, attract the development of an item. But it's all about the narrator doing the basic work. Is because Sao Lester is proud to explain. It was the princess's decision. The princess said, Water, we now need to know the basics. Do this part well. Other things will be easier to do. The princess is not ashamed. Is a child of your noble blood. She's in the same business as you. Have the gift of super. I'm sure the future will be great. Kyuk Piang mopped the wine glass forklift, happily replied, no, she's still stubborn at a young age. This time it's just luck. There's no genius. They can get to work quickly. Especially those who repair roads quickly. Let them get to work. Lester obeyed orders. Yes, I will try to arrange. Continue reading the list. When he got to the paycheck, he shoveled and screamed. Their salary can be as high as 5 yuans. Do you know in the mountains? An ordinary family, the whole year's income is only about 20 yuans. What are you doing out there? Pay these people back so fast. Came just to repair the railroad. Is there a problem with your brain? Lester saw your Majesty agitated and hurried Tay to explain. Your Majesty, you don't listen to me when I make excuses. Han Dynasty in every way conditions are better than ours. These workers are ready to leave their homeland to Lawson. It takes a lot of work. I paid a lot of money to invite you here. We can't use the eyes of a normal worker. To look at them. These people have very good technique. That can help us foster workers. Your Majesty, look far behind. We are not real. The most important, he will also recruit our king if he returns. they will be overtaken. Kwok Fuang wipes the face color. Seriously. The key question for Tazilla is to get the price.